Welcome everybody to the World of Tanks 9.1 test server. This is the new map Kharkov. My name is Maxwell, and without further ado, let's get on with this preview because there's a lot to look at and a lot to get through. This is a very large map, very intricate with plenty of things to look at, so we're going to fly through it as quickly as possible. First thing you'll notice is this tram line that runs all the way along the back of the southern base. This thing's going to offer great protection to allied defenders as well as enemy attackers, which we will get onto later. If we continue back beyond the southern base, you can see there's another line of defense here with another little dip in terrain. Shorter tanks, ones with a lower profile than maybe the Chaffee, are probably going to be able to get themselves into nice hold down positions here, although the bushes, as you can see, are fairly sparse. I can see with the destructible terrain here, this is probably going to be a haunt of the artillery, possibly. So if we head all the way along here towards... Excuse me. If we head all the way along here towards the square, I'm going to call it the square even though it is round. And see immediately you're blocked by this large building here. There's no way of going to the right of it because of the red line. But what you can do is set yourself up just about here. If you're in a nice strong heavy tank into a side scraping position, and this gives you a fantastic view across the whole square here, as well as one of the major entry routes for the northern team there. Continuing on a little bit further, when we come into the square itself, you can see it's a huge open area, although it does have ample cover for it being a huge open area. With the deformations in the terrain here, you can see this gets you fantastic cover from approaching tanks and their guns, and these are scattered around the whole square here. They basically go around in circles, and then there's a much larger one in the center here. So anybody who's quick enough, maybe with a medium tank, a T-54 would have a great time here. They could just go hull down, although they have got some awful gun depression. They could still go hull down in these areas here. Now if we head all the way to the bottom of the map, we can see here that there are some makeshift barricades added, which again are going to provide some good cover. If you've got a tall enough tank as well, obviously you can shoot over the top of them. And as you can see, they offer great hull down protection as well as just protection whilst travelling. But a nice savvy sniper, maybe it'll take somebody out as they are making a move across here. But the addition of these barricades obviously just adds extra cover for everybody. When we come up around to the northern part of the square, you can see this area is blocked off, so there's no way of getting through. And then we have the first of our major roads out, and this road leads all the way up to the enemy base, or the northern base, as you can see here. Leads all the way to their spawn point, and as we move all the way around as well, we've got other inroads into the square, which lead to another concentric road that runs around the outside of it. We're going to head through this one here, excuse me, just to have a quick look at what the cover looks like. As you can see, it's fairly sparse as you make your way through here. As we come out onto the tree-lined road here, obviously that tram track that we looked at earlier that came out from behind the southern base here makes a left-hand turn and comes up this road here. Again, it's sunken, so both left and the right-hand sides are raised up, and again that offers a little bit of protection, but not too much, because essentially this is just one big open road that stretches all the way up to the enemy or the northern spawn location. You get a little bit of cover from buildings here and wrecked tanks in the field there, but no real protection. There's one of the entranceways to the square, and this one here we're about to come across is the main route into the square that the northern base is going to be taking, heading straight down this road here and into the square. Now one little feature I do just want to show you here, if you're attacking, then the best thing to do is probably going to be to come around this large building here, and then that way you can flank around the enemy, and then this allows you, as you can see here, oops, just going to bounce off that wrecked T-34 I think it was. If we come around here, you can see you can come at the enemy base or the northern base from the side here, maybe a little bit unexpected, and catch them off guard here. Just offers a little bit more protection coming around the back of that building rather than coming straight up this big long road of death. Now we're going to have a look at some of the more tightly confined areas. If we just dip in here, you can see that this offers a lot more cover than maybe the big, large main streets do. Possibly not this area here, that was quite open. But especially this one here, this reminds me a lot of Ensk. But on a little bit of a larger scale and a little bit more stretched out. These buildings here, the shape and the layout of them just remind me a lot of Ensk. As you can see, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for heavy tanks to go head-to-head here and mediums to flank around. I can see this little area here being very heavily contested. And there's going to be a lot of fighting around these buildings here, people taking cover and trying to play peekaboo. But as you can see, this map is very intricate, and it's just got a lot of avenues of attack that both teams are going to have to worry about. It's not very straightforward at all. It's not like somebody could just camp in a spot and then be able to fire at any approaching tanks. They're really going to have to think about strategy and where they're going to have to go. And as you can see, once we get past that more cluttered middle bit, it opens out again, and this leads directly on to the southern base. So now we're going to make one more pass up the last of the strictly concentric rings. And we're going to head up the last one here. As you can see, there's a little bit of an underpass here we're going to make use of and fly through that one and then this one. And I can see this is where probably the medium tanks are going to head to. Just because the terrain's a lot more open. There's a lot more opportunities for them to flank and get around behind and beside people. Although I can see some snipers heading to this area, maybe fast tank destroyers, just because being on this ridge here gives you a fantastic overlook of the far north and far left-hand flank of the map. We're going to get to that last, but anybody who's up on this ridge is going to have excellent shots of anybody coming through that little valley area. But because it's a high ground, it's obviously protected from being shot at from people in the valley. And as you can see here, just the layout of the terrain, this is going to be a medium tank's dream. You see that's just one of the other concentric roads there. We're going to head on to the final bit of cover. And as you can see, this just leads straight out to the northern base. So what I've pointed out so far is what I think are going to be the four main routes of attack. If we take a quick look at the mini-map before we get on to the final part of the map, obviously the first main route of attack is going to be along here in the square. Second is going to be around the road here. Third is going to be through these buildings here. And the fourth is going to be through these buildings here to where I've ended up now. Oops, and we will just make that mini-map a little bit smaller. So the last feature I just want to show you is these ruined buildings here. If you spawn in the north, this is probably going to be the route that you're going to take to get to the valley, or if you are attacking, you can probably take this route to remain a lot safer. Actually, if you spawn in the north and you take this route to get to the valley in the north and the left-hand flank, you're probably going to get there a little bit late. But as you can see with the layout of these large buildings here, it's going to offer you some protection from enemy tanks, but it's also there's also could be tank destroyers lying in wait for you. So now we come on to the final part of this preview, which is the wide open valley here, and as you can see, this one is a lot more open, a lot less cover. We've got some buildings at the very start of it here. If you spawned in the north, you've got this church type building here, and then these destructible buildings there. I don't know why I called it a church type building. It is quite obviously a church. We've got a ruined plain there, and then these destructible buildings here. So now these little hills here are going to offer excellent places for scout tanks to hide. If you've got the good gun depression, you may be able to go hull down and poke over and get some shots, but you're going to have better gun depression than the Chaffee has. In fact, I think the angle of those hills may be too sharp for you to be able to get a decent shot off at all. But as you can see, there's plenty of little windy roads that lead around this area and lots of open field space with buildings, non-destructible, with destructible and non-destructible vehicles as well. As you can see, the red line pokes all the way through here, and this one is destructible. Oh, and that's one other thing. You can hear the beautiful new gun sounds added in 9.1. Obviously, the Chaffee's gun sounds a little bit more like a pop gun. Doesn't sound like it's fantastically high caliber, but it does sound a lot more realistic, and I'm loving the new gun sounds so far. We'll have to test with maybe a... Oops. That truck isn't destructible, apparently. We'll have to test with some larger caliber guns and see how they sound. But as you can see, you've got all of these winding roads here, which all eventually merge, coalesce, and there's that ridgeline earlier that I was on talking about. If somebody can get up there well protected and fire down anybody advancing through the valley, they're going to have a lovely time and rack up plenty of damage. And that road there leads back onto the outermost of the concentric routes that I was talking about earlier. And then all of those winding roads that are behind us lead to this one road here, which, when I get to the top of the hill, we can see leads us all the way back, shielded on the left-hand side by this lovely rise in the terrain, a little bit of bushes here. As you can see, Wargaming making a concerted effort to remove large clumps of bushes from the game, which is very, very nice. And this leads all the way on to the tram lines back behind the southern base. Now, one thing I do just want to point out, the presence of all of these bushes here are going to provide a fantastic camping spots for tank destroyers to be able just to sit here. You can have one parked in that bush. You can have one parked in this bush. And I mean, this one's the daddy. I mean, look at that. That gives you protection from the side, from the front. And that is, again, oh, apart from there's a hill right in front of you. But that's going to offer you good shots at anybody coming steaming around this corner as a defender. Defending the southern base. But like I said, if the enemy team's made it this far, then you are probably in serious trouble anyway. I mean, there could be guys up on the ridge there ready to rain fire down upon them. But, oops, obviously a light tank's not going to make it through tank traps. But I mean, if the enemy team has made it this far, then you're in serious trouble and you need to rethink your strategy, because they can just, it's just a quick little jaunt up the rise here, and then they can start capturing the base. A little bit of cover in the cap circle. I think both cap circles have exactly the same ruined building, which offers a little bit of protection from people coming from that direction only. And that is about it. So that is going to be it for my very quick preview of the new Kharkov map. Going to be added in the 9.1 update. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then please consider hitting that subscribe button, because I've got a lot more World of Tanks content on this channel, and there's a lot more to come in the future. If you enjoyed this video, found it useful, informative, entertaining, or you learned something, then please leave me a like and stick a comment in the comment section below if you've got any questions or want to add anything to this map preview. So thanks very much for watching, everybody. I have been Maxwell. This has been my Kharkov map preview, World of Tanks 9.0, and I will catch you guys next time.